great man, my grandfather, who brought me up, who educated me, who sold everything he had to make sure I had the best education he could afford. Unfortunately, he died during COVID. May his soul rest in eternal peace. In this about, Honorable Speaker, this House processed the tax laws 2024, which introduced 25% excess duty on imported fully assembled electric transformers, while exempting the locally assembled and manufactured transformers, whose excess duty, honorable members, was done with the intention of protecting and promoting local manufacturing. However, it was later to be observed that the intended objective of the amendment was not achieved, as the local industry still does not possess enough capacity to manufacture fully transformers to meet the country's demand. Second, Honorable Speaker, the entities classified as local manufacturers are in reality more of assemblers than manufacturers of all the units required for transformers, Honorable Speaker. Kenya operates under the East African Common Custom External Tariff regime as a member state of East African Community. Under this regime, Honorable Speaker, both fully assembled transformers and their parts fall under the same tariff code. Consequently, the imported parts required for local assembly are also subjected now to 25% excess duty. This has led to a general increase in the cost of transformers across the board, rather than reducing the cost of locally assembled units as originally intended, Honorable Speaker. To explain, Honorable Speaker, in very simple language, in East African tariffs, the ones we call HS codes, whether for transformers or for the single units, the HS codes are the same. So by subjecting now this 25% excess duty to fully imported transformer, Speaker, the unintended purpose then meant even the ones that are doing assembling here in Kenya are now subject to 25% excess duty. As a result, Honorable Speaker, whether you manufacture locally here or you import, the unintended consequence of that amendment is that both these two would attract 25% excess duty, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, this is what we are trying to correct this anomaly, Honorable Speaker. Electricity penetration in Kenya, Honorable Speaker, is reported to be at around 17%. This reflects both grid and off-grid solutions, such as solar home systems. However, even with these impressive rates of penetration and substantial population are still not connected to the national grid. That is why the government initiatives such as the last mile connectivity and investments in renewable energy sources such as geothermal, hydro, and solar are very crucial. For last mile connectivity to succeed, the cost of connection must be to reduce the cost of this transformer, Honorable Speaker, is therefore very, very key and very essential. First is the cost of connection to electricity. Transformers are essential components in the transmission and distribution of electricity. Every customer connected to a national grid relies on a transformer to receive power to their correct voltage and frequency. When a customer applies for electricity, they are either connected to an existing transformer or must fund the installation of a new one. The introduction of this 25% excess duty on transformers, as per the amendments, as per the Tax Laws Amendment Bill of 2024, has now, of course, led to a direct impact of 25% increase in the cost of electricity, Honorable Speaker. Many people in this House, Honorable Speaker, have witnesses of two things. You probably have a project somewhere, you apply for power connectivity, and you're given an invoice of Kenya Power of 1.something million shillings for that transformer, Honorable Speaker. The other greater problem we have, even in our constituencies, are transformers that have been connected to our constituents only for them to be recalled for being faulty. So you have launched an electricity project, you have assured the people of that particular place that they're going to have electricity, and then a few days later, the transformer is faulty, and it takes so long, Honorable Speaker, for that transformer to be replaced. This amendment, Honorable Speaker, is now going to make it easier for those faulty, because in all the transformers that are displayed in the country, just like any other product, Honorable Speaker, there is a probability that there could be a fault. When that fault occurs, if this transformer is imported from China or from India, then it means that it will probably have to be shipped back to that country, Honorable Speaker, or that particular component that is missing has to be imported again. But when these things are locally assembled here, Honorable Speaker, it's going to be quicker to replace any fault that may happen in our transformer, Honorable Speaker. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, is the impact on electricity tariffs. The pricing of electricity is regulated by the Energy and Protection Regulatory Authority, EPRA, and includes costs associated with generation, transmission, distribution, and maintenance. Transformers, being vital assets in the electricity network, therefore require regular replacement due to faults, wear and tear, or vandalism. By increasing the cost of transformer, Honorable Speaker, the 25% excess duty raises the overall maintenance costs which are ultimately transferred to consumers through higher tariffs, Honorable Speaker. That is the availability of transformers for use across the country. Kenya Power typically procures about 4,000 transformers annually, 3,200 for replacing worn-out units, and 1,000 for expanding the grid and connecting new customers. With increased cost burden brought about by the amendments, fewer transformers can be procured within the current budgetary and cash flow constraints. This will likely result in delays in replacing faulty transformers, extended outages, increased insecurity, reduced economic activity, and slower customer connections, especially in areas where a new transformer is prerequisite. Honorable Speaker, it is therefore evident that while the amendments introduced in the Tax Laws Amendment Act of 2024 were well-intentioned and aimed at promoting local manufacturing, they have unfortunately resulted in unintended adverse outcomes. This includes increased costs, operational challenges for utility providers, and a negative impact on service delivery. It is imperative that we reconsider the application of excess duty on transformers to strike a balanced and effective approach. Such a review is critical in aligning the government's broader development agenda, particularly the last mile connectivity. This flagship initiative seeks to expand electricity access to low-income households and rural communities for connecting those located within 600 meters of existing transformers. The success of this program hinges on the availability and affordability of transformers, and therefore the current taxation framework needs to be re-evaluated to ensure that it supports rather than hinders the realization of this important national objective. Further, Honorable Speaker, the committee also proposed an amendment to the first schedule of the Excess Duty Act to correct an error in the classification of glass tariffs, especially concerning float glass and safety glass. The current act incorrectly referenced tariff code 7007 for imported float glass, whereas the correct classification under the harmonized system is 7005. This miscalculation has led to confusion and unintended consequence, particularly affecting the transformation sector, which depends on accurately classified safety glass for compliance and public safety, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, again, on this particular matter on float glass, the intended code was supposed to be 007 for imported float glass, Honorable Speaker. However, this committee, this House erroneously classified that exchange code as 7005, and therefore one of the additional amendments will be seeking to do during the correct that unintended anomaly, Honorable Speaker. The types of glass that you see around are of different kinds. The glass that you use, say in banks, that has safety features, the glass that is used in our motor vehicles, the glass that is used on our glasses, Honorable Speaker, are all different kinds of glass, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, this differentiation, this classification is going to ensure, again, that this House and this country prioritizes supporting of local manufacturing rather than importing, Honorable Speaker. No country, Honorable Speaker, has grown by being a supermarket. And that is unfortunately truth we must all agree as a country. We cannot grow if we become a supermarket for importation. The way to grow is to make sure that we support our local manufacturing by being very deliberate in promoting local manufacturing and making imported products that can be manufactured here locally more expensive. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, starting economic growth, Honorable Speaker. We've seen President Trump's administration slammed tariffs on imported products, Honorable Speaker. It is because they want to build America and make sure that American companies succeed as a country and say Kenya first. And for us to do that, the only way is to impose tariffs on imported finished products and make sure that we make it easy to import the raw materials, manufacture here, assemble here, and make sure that we buy Kenya and build Kenya. Speaker, President Ruto once said during the launch of a factory in West Pokot that a locally made Datsun is better than an imported that one, Rolls Royce. You must forgive where I come from. R's and L's can become complicated. And I share the same views. Our locally manufactured products may not be the best, but we support them, we shall get there. Honorable Speaker, this Honorable House, in the Finance Act of 2022, introduced excise duty on imported furniture. Honorable Speaker, there was a lot of debate saying there are so many furniture that cannot be produced locally. But what have we achieved now? If you go along Gong Road, if you go along Kiambu Road, if you along Eastern Bypass, if you go to my constituency in Molo and everywhere, we have so many people that are locally making furniture, Honorable Speaker. Seats that were very expensive, called recliner seats. We only imagined we could import them from China and Turkey. Now we have fundis here in Roysambu that are making those recliner seats here. Because this Honorable House made a deliberate decision to support local manufacturing of furniture. You heard President Ruto say, hii kitu inaitwa furniture ni mbao tu na msumari na nyundo. And people thought it was a joke. Until now you've seen even activists, some of them like Karara and a great businessman called Moraga, Honorable Speaker, have excelling furniture business, courtesy of policy interventions that were passed in this Honorable Speaker. As I wind up, I want to reiterate. As a country, we must be selfish. We must make sure we support local manufacturing of our products. And how we do that is by having tariffs that make it more expensive for imported products and grow our own manufacturing. It's going to start slowly, but it's going to grow, and we can be a hub of manufacturing around the region and in Africa. Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Thank you. Members, before I propose a question for the bill for debate, join me in welcoming students from Jabali Primary and Junior School, Kiambaa constituency, Kiambu County, and students from Save Our Souls Junior Secondary School, Nyali, Mombasa County. They are welcome to follow the proceeding of this House this morning.